For July, we're helping you think about how you can make your writing, especially things like emails, text messages, chat messages, Slack, anything that you're using to imitate a kind of conversation that you would have out loud with somebody, how you can make those messages feel nicer to people on the other end. The thing about writing is that it doesn't feel that great because it doesn't have the same nonverbal signals. The face, the voice, the body that we're used to hearing and seeing when we talk to each other. It just doesn't have that information. And so it never really feels as good, and it's harder to know how people mean things in writing. So one of the ways that you can make other people feel better about the writing that you're doing instead of talking is to think about how you're using the words I and you and we. So I and you work to set up a relationship between a speaker and a listener, or a writer and a reader. So the I is the speaker or the writer, and the you is the person who's receiving the information, the listener or the reader. And when we're talking to each other, we take turns being the I and the you. It switches back and forth. But in writing, when I write a message to you, the entire message is from my perspective. And so it matters a lot how I use the word I in writing, because it's kind of a lecture, right? I'm going to talk for the length of this message to you, and you are going to listen. So the way that we frame that matters. And if every sentence or every paragraph, or there's just a lot of I and me and my, it sounds very self-centered. It sounds like you're paying attention to yourself and you're not paying attention to the you, the reader. And that feels a lot like you're not looking at them. So I like to think of the I and you and how they work in writing as sort of representing the way we use eye contact when we're talking. I'm looking at you and we're connected. So the way that I use you and I don't use I in my writing will show that I'm thinking about you. I'm paying attention to you. But if I'm using the word I a lot, it's like I'm looking away from you. I'm just thinking about my stuff and what I've got going on, and I don't care about you at all. I'm just sending it to you so that you have it. Okay? So when we're using a lot of I, it's like looking away from a person. When we're using a lot of you, it's like making eye contact in writing. Now, there are some rules or guidelines around how we use these words. So I want you to think about, you're allowed to use the word I, but really try to limit the word I to actions you have taken or will take. So what have you done already, or what are you taking responsibility for doing in the future? You can say, I talked to the client yesterday and here's what they're looking for. Or I will call them tomorrow and check in on the project. So you want to use the I for actions, but we're going to try to avoid using I for thoughts or feelings. We don't want to spend our messages saying, I think, I feel, I believe, I know, because everything you're writing is already your ideas. So you don't have to say, I think, I believe, I know, in front of, or to start those sentences. I would also put in there things like, I'm emailing you, I'm writing you. No. I'm attaching. Just say attached is or here is. Anytime you're saying I'm doing this in the present moment, that doesn't make sense in writing. So just skip over it. Either it's done or it still needs to be done, but I am doing it doesn't exist when I send a written message to you. So I'm hoping you could, no. I'm wondering if, no. I wanted to, no. So all of those kinds of I frameworks, which are perfectly fine to use when we're speaking, we're going to take out of our professional writing. They're just not serving us. Okay, then when do you use you? Because you is going to work like eye contact, you're looking at the other person. I want you to use the word you wherever it makes sense. Use the word you for positive things. You did great at that presentation, or you did such a nice job hosting that event. You take credit for the things that you have done well, right? So when you're writing, give the you credit for the things that they have done well by using the word you. You can also use the word you for neutral things. You have attended 32 meetings this year. It's just a statement of fact. Even if that fact seems slightly negative, you have been late 7 times this month. That's a fact. Okay, so we're not making the judgment yet, we're just stating facts. You can use the word you when you are presenting objective information in your writing. Where you don't want to use the word you is for negatives. So we don't want to say you did a bad job, or you didn't take responsibility. You didn't show up. You need to do this better. We don't want to use the word you for those negative things. We want to try to frame any negatives that we have as objective. The presentation needs to be better. Employees are expected to show up at work by this time. So you take it away from you and make it objective in writing. All right, and the last one that I want to talk about is the we. And usually we're using we in our business writing to talk about the company. And that we is like the I, okay? It's just saying collectively, or I'm representing the company more broadly, and it's not just my opinions or my ideas. When we use that we to represent the company, the same rules as I apply. You can say we for actions that the company has taken or will take. You can use the we to report on objective things. We have this policy. We expect these things from our vendors, whatever it is. You can use the we for those things, but try to avoid saying we think, we feel, we believe. Those can go in your mission statement, but not really in your communication messages. What I do want you to think about using we for is to align the writer, the I, and the reader, the you. So when you can use we to talk about what the writer and the reader are going to do together, it becomes really powerful in your writing. Like, I care about you and I want you to be successful, so we should talk about what your goals are, right? So in messages, when you set up the I and the you working together as we, that can feel really good to your reader. It can feel like, oh, we have the same point of view, we agree on things, we're going to work together. All right, so you have your tips for how to use I and you and we and where not to use them in your business writing. So try some of that stuff out and see what happens.